And then Mark Wahlberg said, "Oh, check out my big dick." Ah! Ooh. Ooh. Ah. That's it. I'm not going.
Hi, Brenton.
Hi, Nathan. What an intro.
I know. That's great. Right, so I was about to go into our normal intro. I'm like, oh, wait, no, we do a thing before that. So we were chatting before the podcast, and I kind of want to continue this conversation to give people a sneak preview as to how boring our normal conversations are outside the podcast.
Yeah, fair enough.
Catchphrases. I want to talk about them. Like things only you say. Have you got them? Are they in your vocab?
And that's the way the cookie crumbles.
things that are uniquely Brenton.
Oh, I've got a few, I think. Yeah.
You got a few in the back pocket.
Yeah, that I just whip out, you know. They're like my little party tricks that just...
But do you ever get like called out on like things that you say that's not exactly normal, air quotes?
Occasionally.
Okay.
Specifically, do you want to know?
Like provide an example, man. Like,
okay, so my girlfriend.
Whoa, back up. Brendan's got a girlfriend. Oi.
Whoa, back the fuck up.
Shut the front door.
Oh, let's just whip out catchphrases. Let's just go. Brenton's got a girlfriend.
I like pudding. That's all my.
So yeah, I got a girlfriend.
It's like when people press you, it's like name your favorite film and you can't name a single film. It's like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like name an element and I'm just like, I don't know, fire? Like, you idiot.
Or you just like, you know, you say like something that has no relevance to what was just said. So it's like, say a catchphrase and you're like, where is she?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what's one of yours?
Yeah, so my girlfriend and I always, you know, I found that around her I keep saying this catchphrase.
Okay.
And
let's go to the bedroom.
And I don't usually say this.
Yes.
Like to anyone else in my circle, in my life.
Ooh,
it's just
this sounds very intimate.
Yeah, well, not really.
Okay.
And she called me out on it. She was like, "Why do you say that? Like, why do you say like?" And she was like she thinks it's funny. Like she's always like, "Oh, like that's a funny saying." Anyway, the saying is, "Oh, you got to risk it for the biscuit."
That's your catchphrase?
That's the catchphrase. Yeah.
I feel like you're not the first person to say that phrase.
But it's not like it's mine. I didn't coin it. It's
like I also invented radical and like
it's not okay. Well, if we're talking catchphrases, the audience, yourself and I all know that mine is
it's complicated.
It's complicated.
It is.
Yeah.
What a great iconic catchphrase.
Yeah, I'm telling you, classic movie.
Do you like to say it
shirts?
outside the podcast? Like, do you like say it when like, you know, people ordering like at your cafe, they're like, like, how come my coffee's taking so long?
That shit's complicated. No, dude. Like, but I'm like that. If I was to coin a catchphrase for Brenton. Like, let's say, classic movie banter.
Imagining you just like with a crayon and like as a 5-year-old, like Brent, like the B's backwards, like Brenton's catchphrase.
Classic movie banter t-shirts, you know, one day when we're ruling the world, you know,
it will never happen, but go on.
You know, the Brenton shirt it would have classic movie banter logo maybe, and then it would maybe on the back or on the front, the logo's on the back, let's say on the front is it's complicated ellipses.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
But and then underneath that just a picture of your face like looking like it wants to like slam your face into like a desk, the nearest desk, you know.
You actually get a photographic moment of me doing that? Like,
yeah,
like I do brain damage for the t-shirt.
Like, okay, so we're talking in the future, you know, like there's like holographic GIFs that are like on shirts, and the GIF is you just slamming your face into the nearest like object to like, because you're over the complicated catchphrase.
It's true.
But like, let's be honest.
No, I love it.
That's probably mine on this show.
Yours.
Yeah.
I don't think I have one. I know when I was a kid, my catchphrases was just like blatantly copying other catchphrases. Like I remember growing up loving That's So Raven, and so I would just like be at school and something would happen.
Oh my god!
And I'd be like, oh snap!
I was gonna say my favorite one from That's So Raven is, You nasty.
Nasty. Oh, it's so good.
Oh, so
I remember,
good.
I remember used to say it at school so much, and like I would, and I for some reason I thought I was the only kid with Disney Channel, so I was getting away with it.
Oh my god, no, it's okay.
No, it's okay. I thought everyone was just watching the ABC, and so I'm like, oh, I got Disney.
Disney Channel, Cartoon Network.
Yeah, we both had Foxtel. Like.
Holy yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was the other one?
Nickelodeon.
No, not that. You know, there's Foxtel, and then there's another like version.
Oh yeah,
what's it called?
Oh fucking hell,
That one. It was a competitor. It was a dirty competitor.
I don't think you hear about it anymore. Maybe that's why we can't reference it.
No.
But going like that's so Raven. Like the catalog of Disney shows, like original
I quoted
Disney
all of them.
shows. Yeah,
Like, yeah.
Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
Yeah.
That's so Raven. Fuck.
I used to do Please and Thank You from Kim Possible.
Yes, yeah. Kim Possible, dude.
Yeah.
Right on. There's a live action.
I want there to be a crossover between Mission Impossible and Kim Possible, and it's like a live action Kim Possible who meets Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible.
Oh my god!
And like it's like that Joker speech, like when an immovable object meets an unstoppable force.
Well, dude, they're doing a live action Kim Possible film.
They are doing that. Yeah.
So it could happen. Disney's buying every property in sight, so you know.
That's what they'll call the movie. Mission Impossible. Kim Possible. Oh no, that'll be the subtitle for the Kim Possible movie, like Kim Possible, Mission Impossible.
I'd need to watch I'd need to watch some of these shows to see if they hold up still though. Like That's So Raven, I need to watch again. What was the friend's name? And that was like Raven, Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea and Eddie.
Eddie, that was it. Yeah.
That's
I was
right.
gonna say his name was Brock, and then I realized Spider-Man
Pokemon.
reference Eddie Brock.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Yeah, like so I was on the right track in some fucked up way in my brain. Yeah.
But I used to say those like phrases as a kid, and then as a teenager, I used to say very outlandish things. I remember when I remember when I was in high school, like, I still say outlandish things, but I remember in high school, like, I used to just like, I don't know, I used to just say like, shut the fuck up. Like, like I remember my catchphrase was just really rude. It was like when you find Family Guy like really funny at 12
Wait, when
years
was
old.
this? When was this high school? As in like, so what grades are we talking?
Oh, like grade 8 or 9. I remember like you just it was like people start swearing when you're like, you know, like 10 or something like that. But I remember like in middle school, just like thinking I was funny, but just blatantly rude. Oh yeah. I remember I used to say that a lot, like sarcastically, like, you look good today.
Oh, you'd say so. Oh, that's savage, dude.
It's bad,
That's
man.
awful. My catchphrase in year 8, I can't even remember how this started.
Yeah.
But it became like I was a bit of like the class clown, I think, in year 8. Kind of, I guess. Like, yeah.
I wasn't in your class, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, like there's all these things that
There's
like,
all these spitballs on the wall, and you're like, "That's Brenton."
yeah. But not in that way. I mean, like, there was just lots of references that would happen in our class that, like, I started, I guess. So, for instance,
You're at the back of the classroom, like,
for instance, I went and saw You Don't Mess with the Zohan, which is that Adam Sandler film. And that came out in the year before when I was in year 7.
yes.
But you know in that
that
film...
iconic thing.
You know in that film how they always, like disco's a weird thing in that movie for some reason?
Yeah.
And they're always like, disco. Well, for some reason, I did like a PowerPoint presentation on something, and I used like, it was like a GIF or like a little clip of like the disco thing from like, I can't even remember like the context of it, but everyone laughed in the class, and then like disco became like this coined catchphrase that our class used all the time, and we would see each other like out in the schoolyard and stuff, and obviously this is an audio medium, so you can't see what I'm doing, but we would do like a Saturday Night Fever disco move to
Brenton,
each
put your
other.
clothes back on.
Oh, that looks nice.
Oh no. he turned the tables, audience.
I can't remember the exact wording, but it was something along the lines of that. But you got the sarcastic intent, did you?
Ah, I hear you.
Yeah.
I remember in year
Bitch.
8. I remember in year 8 there was an improvisation festival, not as if this was a different one. I think it was like for houses, and I remember it was in like the big auditorium we had in our school, and I made the cut of like the final round or whatever. And I remember watching Summer Heights High at the time, and I really loved it when Jamae said, "You fugly bitch," and I remember like doing a scene, and I thought when I was 13 that fugly was just a funny way of saying the word ugly. I didn't know what it actually meant, and so
Really?
yeah, I just didn't know. I was an
Okay.
idiot. I still am an idiot. But like, I remember in like the major auditorium, it was from like, you know, grade 7, 8, 9, I was doing a skit, and someone was late for class in my skit, and I remember like just walking up to this girl, I can't remember who it was, and just saying in front of the entire middle school, like, where have you been, you fugly idiot? And as I said it, I had no idea what I meant. I remember looking over to Sue Daly, and I remember just being like, and I remember just seeing her absolute look of horror on her face.
Okay, I have a similar story.
Okay.
It's nowhere near as bad as the school auditorium to the whole middle school, but we were doing physical education, PE.
Yes.
Just in it was year 8. And we were playing lacrosse.
Of course you were.
Yeah, and so we were all running around with our freaking sticks. And
Our private school of you.
Yeah.
We are doing a lacrosse.
We had a substitute teacher that wasn't actually a PE. I don't even know. She was like a... She was
just dragged her off the streets like, oh, you can take him.
But she was like a teacher that at our school that was like literally hired to be a substitute teacher for like every subject. So she'd just rock up to an art class and be like, I'm your sub.
I'm teaching art now.
But so she's teaching lacrosse. She's got no idea what the hell she's doing. So we're playing this. I can't even remember. Like, okay. And this is bad. Like,
okay.
and but it's a similar thing. It comes from a naive, idiotic place and also a place of insecurity and trying to be cool and fit in. So we're playing lacrosse, and I really got competitive in sports. Similar story. I crash tackled a girl once accidentally.
Oh wow!
Wow! I know, but that was fully an accident.
What was the name of the girl?
Sarah.
What was
W.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, that caused damage, man. Like,
it was. That was my worst schooling moment. That was my most embarrassing all-time school moment. But back to this one.
Back to this thing. Yeah.
So we're playing lacrosse. We're getting very competitive, and I said to some other kid that was in my team while the class was gathered, and I said this without, I had no idea what it meant, what the thing I was referencing was, or what this would cause and why it was bad to say this. I said, "Oh, come on, bros before hoes." In front of the whole class, and this substitute teacher lost her mind.
What?
Like, lost her mind. And then I was like, I should probably look up what this actually means.
Oh no.
Because I'm getting these looks of like everyone, like people thought it was kind of funny, like that I'd gotten in trouble. And like when I'd said it, like me, Brenton, had like had this random weird outburst and said that for like, and this teacher just lost her mind at me. She was like, that is like disgusting and whatnot. And like, how dare you? Like,
wow. And then you said, bitch, you didn't even teach the subject.
And then I said, hey, you got to risk it for the biscuit.
Oh, it's classic movie banter.
Welcome. Episode number 17.
You are 17, going on 18. Next week, when we do another film. But this week, it's not that. Today, it's Boogie Nights. We're gonna talk about porn.
Dude, you got yourself out of that. Like, that was great.
Thank
you.
You
really...
I sung my way out. Like most problems, you could just sing your way out.
Exactly. But you stuck with it. And I respect that.
Thank you. I respect you.
Oh. Let's just end it there.
I need to have a cigarette after that.
See you next week, folks.
Yeah, the sexual tension is high this week because of a film that we have watched steamily, like, if that's a word.
It's a Boogie Nights.
This is a musical episode. We should just sing
Why
this.
Why not? Yeah, let's just lay Miz this shit, dude.
Yeah.
So Boogie Nights, released in 1997, directed by... Oh, this is the first film we've done of Paul Thomas Anderson.
PTA, the big boy himself. Yeah, PTA.
So, like, what are the big directors we've covered? We've done a Scorsese.
We've done Scorsese. We've done Hitchcock.
Yeah.
What else have we done? That's it, I think.
Yeah.
We've done Spielberg. We did Spielberg.
Oh, Spielberg,
yeah.
Of course.
So another titan. I mean, all the directors we've gone through are pretty good.
Yes.
Except for bloody Animal House director. Piece of shit.
Let's not talk about that.
No, another day.
Yeah.
Another podcast. But yeah, first PTA film.
And the reason, this is Nathan's idea.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was a really sweet idea.
Yeah. Well, Burt Reynolds passed,
Yes.
last week, and I haven't seen a single film that he's done, embarrassingly. And Brenton has, question mark?
I have, yeah. I've seen the film we're reviewing next week.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we thought we'd do a double bill. So we thought we'd do 2 Burt Reynolds films, back to back. So if you don't like Burt Reynolds, well then you can have a fun fortnight with us.
See you in episode 19.
See you at 19, whatever we do for then. Let's just do Burt Reynolds then for eternity. We just go through his entire filmography.
It's really affected us, so for the next 3 years, what we're doing...
I thought, like, now's the best time to do it.
Yeah,
I've been meaning to watch Boogie Nights for years.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so, no.
Well, it's very well known. I mean,
It is.
Yeah, I think it really put Paul Thomas Anderson on the map, put Mark Wahlberg on the map.
Put pornography on the map. No one had even heard of porn before this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then look what happened.
Yeah, look what happened now. Now there's too much of it, I say, Brenton. Too much.
Too much.
Too much indeed.
Well, due to the internet being introduced and everyone having access to it, I think porn is running rampant.
It's running rampant. It sounds like one of those like public announcements, like running rampant in the streets. Watch out, there's pornography coming to a house near you. Close your blinds. You'll suddenly see tits.
Bar your doors. Bar your windows. Board your
hide
doors.
Your kids, hide your wife.
The porn is coming. Get away.
It'd be interesting to see how this, if they made a sequel to this, but with the advent of the internet. You know what I mean?
Holy shit! Like they'd all be dead.
And maybe there's death in this film, but who's to say?
Who is to say? Wait for spoilers. Nothing but spoilers.
So, it's my turn. So, Brenton, I'm going to pitch you this movie.
Pitch me Boogie Nights.
I will pitch you Boogie Nights. Okay, so it's 1977 in Los Angeles. The film industry is booming. The sun is booming, and everyone's out in the sun ready to party, including a young busboy, Mark Wahlberg. He's a hotshot kid from a shitty family who meets a director, a filmmaker, he calls himself, called Jack, who's played by Burt Reynolds, who scoops 17-year-old minor Mark Wahlberg up out of his job and says, "You know what, kid? You're 17 years old and I want to see you naked," says the old man to Mark Wahlberg. And he says, "Let's put you into the pictures." And Mark Wahlberg's like, oh, the pictures? I'm going to be a movie star? And he said, "Yes, the naked movie star." And Mark Wahlberg transforms into Dick Diggler and becomes the best dick that ever dicked. And you watch his rise, both metaphorically and maybe literally, through his work in the pornography industry of the 70s. And he's joined by an ensemble cast. You got your Don Cheadle, your Julianne Moore, you got John C. Reilly's in it for some reason, and you've got some others in a picture for the whole fam, and by whole fam we mean 18 plus, because there's tits in this, the movie.
Hey, it wasn't a bad pitch.
Thank you.
There was one mistake you made. His name's not Dick Diggler.
What's his name?
name's Dirk Diggler.
It should have been Dick Diggler, damn it.
Dick Diggler. And I was just like... before we start as well, I just... because we didn't really finish this point before, about Burt Reynolds, of course. Yeah. Very sad, very sad. Rest in peace,
obviously,
Burt.
rest in peace, all that.
Yeah. So let's get into it.
Yeah. All right, Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights. I'm going to let you take this away.
Oh, cheers.
What
Nathan. A damn fucking good film. Like, really bloody good. Really good.
Man, like, it's one of those films that I just go, would this be made today? Would someone have, like...
The
this,
balls.
Like, quite literally.
To
make this film. Like... This isn't a mainstream film by any means.
God, no. PTA, like, I'm going to call Paul Thomas Anderson PTA just for
sure.
sake.
Yeah.
But PTA had a very difficult time getting this film together.
Yeah, I was reading about it, that the studio...
Brenton was reading. He put on his glasses. He was reading a book.
I did.
Oh. Did you use your library card, nerd?
Yes. Oh. Yeah, and apparently there was like a bit of an ultimatum given to PTA that they said, look, it's either got to be under 3... Because he wanted it...
That's right, I do know this story,
He wanted it to be over 3 hours long. And he was like, this film isn't going to be commercially viable anyway, so let's just fuck it and do what I want. And the studio said, no, you can either have it under... You must have it either under 3 hours... Sorry, it can
has to be under 3 hours.
It has to be under 3 hours or R-rated. It can't be both.
Yeah.
It can't be over 3 hours and R-rated.
But then, in a plot twist, he does both.
He does both. Yeah.
He's like, fuck it, I'll go with the R rating, and then next week he just makes it 2 hours 40 anyway.
Yeah.
And tell you what, for a 2 hour 40 film, it isn't that long. Like, it doesn't feel that
cracking.
long.
It's got great pacing and it just smashes through it.
Such good pacing.
Yeah, well, so good. And considering that there's a lot of like long shots in this, like there's a lot of
amazingly choreographed long shots. Like if you're a long shot nerd, then oh boy, you're gonna love this.
It's very there's this kind of like a circular motion to this film, and like there's there's a very clear beginning, middle, and end, and you can really that's really cemented, I think, by some of the cinematography, and that there's a huge long shot at the start, there's a huge long shot in the middle, and
great
there's a huge long shot at the end. And the cinematography overall, I think, is cracking. I think
it's cracking. Oh, what did they say? It's foxy, like in the film.
Yeah, it's foxy. Yeah,
it's foxy. What did they say in it's great.
Yeah. But by that I mean like not only is it like beautiful to look at in terms of the way the camera moves, what's
also
it's capturing
the women
and stuff,
and the men.
but it's very, and I think this is to do with the pacing, is that it's very linked to do with what's going on in the story, what's going on with the characters. So you like, you know, watching this, if you're like you'd be invested in it, and you wouldn't even notice that like there hasn't been a cut, you know, during some of those takes.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? I feel like we should address the elephant in the room, like the porn. Because like this is
well that's the big elephant in the room as to why, you know holy shit, this is a filmmaker being like, let's do a film on this side of the film industry.
And like I haven't seen that much work on porn. Like I know The Juice is apparently supposed to be great from Netflix. It has James Franco running about.
That's right. Yeah.
As a porn star. I know there's some like there's like a show called Cam Girls, which I think is an expose on what it's like to be a porn star. I think there is like good work on the porn industry, but I'm sure in 1997 this would have been like crazy because like, you know, it's a brutal look at the porn industry because it glamorizes a lot of it, but then also it goes into that dark side. It really balances like the humor and the dark side quite well.
This film's hilarious. Like,
it's really funny.
If you're really into dark humor, this film's for you. Like, it is.
And it's not as erotic as you would think.
No,
I wasn't like watching this going like, oh, this is just turning me on.
But it's like erotic. It's erotic to the point of like sickening. It's like it's like
an excess kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like that excess of like lust. It's like it's not good for the soul.
7 deadly sins.
It's that thing of like, and you're like, oh man, this isn't right necessarily.
He's just like Bren's like, hey, this isn't right. Put the clothes back on, damn it.
but I think that's what this film's going for. You know,
like,
you know,
and it does it so well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like I genuinely like. I'm just thinking about this now. I really like films about excess. Like I love like
Network was about, you know, the excess of the media.
Yeah, like Wolf of Wall Street. Like Scorsese does heaps on excess.
This does feel very Scorsese, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Like, very Scorsese.
Oh, it feels like something else as well. Reference to Pulp Fiction. It feels very very Tarantino-esque as well in some ways, which is interesting because I know that PTA and Tarantino are quite good friends. Yeah.
And also the same way you have like lots of different story threads kind of intersecting and interweaving.
And also I think it's use of violence in some cases as well. Like is on one way used as kind of a feature for the film, like it's fun kind of violence, and then to a certain point it's used as well to kind of, one, glamorize the violence, and two, like show how desensitized literally all these people are to what the fuck's going on around them. Yeah, like
that's why it's so funny, because they say the most outlandish things with the most straight face you can imagine. Yeah. Like Julianne Moore is amazing in this. Like she says the best lines in this film.
What a character. I mean, like, yeah. And what an ensemble piece too. Like all these characters are like just like pretty awesome. Yeah. And props to, again, PTA for navigating, you know, threads for like all these characters to like, you know, have life and to like, you know, be given the amount of screen time they're given, you know. Yeah,
exactly. I thought this is the best performance I've seen Mark Wahlberg give, including The Departed. I thought he was insanely good in this. Like he really goes for it. And like you know, and Don Cheadle's got a great arc in this. You know, Philip Seymour Hoffman when he's in this is so good.
Yeah.
Like John C. Reilly is great in this. Like despite the fact he's a porn star, and you'd never believe it. Like
and Burt Reynolds, like
and Burt Reynolds, the late Burt Reynolds, like. Man,
what a performance!
He's so cool in this, isn't he? You could so believe he's like this like hotshot porn director.
He's very dark though. He's very like
there's a darkness to him, which I don't think the film explores that much. Like
no, yeah, but it's there. It's like
there's not a spoiler, but there's a point where like a random character like dies just like at a party, and then like they just get like brisked away, and he's like, oh, what's all this? And then it just cuts back to like the action. And you're like,
yeah, I think there's a really strong performance from Burt. Yeah, you can see why he was got the award nominations and the praise he got for this film. Yeah. Interestingly, though, again reading on this, he didn't get along with PTA.
No, they had a huge feud.
Yeah, and then he was offered a role, I think, in Magnolia.
Yeah,
and he turned it down because
he turned down everything, but
Oh yeah.
It's what he was known for. He'd go to restaurants, he'd turn down the menu, like he just couldn't shake it off. Like it's just what he does.
It's like it's part of my DNA.
Yeah, it's who I am. Like that's his catchphrase. Just the word no. Like
So yeah, like technically everything's there in the film. Like
it's fantastic.
Like it's really
interesting. Like it's generally interesting to see how porn was made back then. Like you kind of know how porn was made, but like. They take it so seriously. Like they really think they're making high art, and like in their defense, they probably are making high art. But like, I love it when it cuts. So the way the film's edited, you see some of the films that they make. So you watch like you actually just watch the pornos halfway through, and it's the opposite of erotic. It's nothing but hilarious. Like yeah. It's so good, and what the greatest strength I reckon of this film is its soundtrack. Like the music.
Agreed, yeah. I'd say it's the soundtrack and the screenplay, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and the screenplay, of course, yeah. But, oh, God, the 70s music was so good in this. Like, and there's like the opening scene with all those 70s hits when they were in like the roller skate, disco thing. And, by the way, Roller Skate Girl was fantastic. And, the music when they throw all the parties and like...
Yes.
The music playing during the porn films. I was just like nodding my head going like, I need to Shazam this shit. Like, it was so good.
I think this film is really interesting and kind of the ideas it explores too through that industry of like there's all these people that kind of like are seen as, let's say, I'm going to use the word scum by the and
you see the repercussions of that later on in the film, don't you? I was really moved by that one specific scene where you really see it.
Exactly.
Because you forget about it halfway through the film.
But that's the thing. But it kind of portrays these people as people, one, and two, these people that are kind of maybe haven't applied themselves when they were younger or, made decisions that were going to provide long-lasting happiness over their lives, like making those hard choices at the beginning. And so they kind of do what they can to get by.
They're survivors.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And they try to have a good time as best they can to cope with that.
And like you understand for Mark Wahlberg because he's like a 17-year-old child, and so and his house is horrendous, and so he leaves it, and you're just
he's like looking for that escape.
But others like they just make poor decisions.
Yeah, that's right. And then like Burt, like the people that are like have the power in this situation are kind of chasing that American dream of like that creating that business and
so many of them get the dream though. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
there's a lot of success in this movie. Like, it is very Wolf of Wall Street actually.
Like but for sure, like they find so much success, but then it kind of explores the idea of why that isn't this lifestyle maybe isn't unless you have it in check yourself in check, like you're never going to be able to sustain it
exactly,
and unless you like admit things to yourself about what it is you do and how that's going to be perceived by the population, like you have to understand there's repercussions for things that you do, which I think is I think it's really, but it never says that these people are bad people, even though there are some very bad people I'd say in this film.
I think they're all great. I don't think there's any universally evil people in this film.
Oh, I think there's a couple.
Oh, really?
Like very minor characters. I don't think any of the main players are like necessarily bad people.
But even when that guy comes to Burt Reynolds and he's like saying, "This is the future" and all that kind of stuff, like I thought,
no, not him, not him. Yeah, no.
Is this a spoiler we'll talk about?
Yeah, this is a spoiler we'll talk about. Okay. There's a couple people that you're like, oh yeah, like you're a bad person.
You're a bad egg.
Yeah,
like,
you're a bad person and you need some help. Yeah. And most of the characters in this film actually need some help as well.
Like everyone needs some help. Like,
Yeah.
When Julianne Moore, like, you know, she goes to that meeting with the lawyers and just like, come on. It's like, like, come on. Like, look in the mirror. It's like,
oh God. Yeah. And it's interesting that this isn't really a spoiler, but like, there's not huge arcs for most of the characters. There's some. No, I agree.
Yeah.
There's some,
but there's so many characters in this. Like,
that's right. Yeah. And so what's interesting is that the arcs that are there, and then juxtaposed by these people that just keep on keeping on. They're just like they're still.
Well, Macy's got a pretty good arc, doesn't he?
Yeah. No, definitely. I think he's got an arc. Like, for instance, what I mean is, I don't think Julianne Moore's character probably has an arc in this film.
No, but there's a point in that.
That's
why
right.
She doesn't
but that's
change.
my point.
Like,
there's a point in that the fact she doesn't have an arc, and you're just like, fuck, like, come on, dude. Like,
it's like wake up. It's
that's like get that shit together and like, you know, move on and make a better life for yourself.
Yeah, but going into this film, like, I thought it was just going to be like, I don't know, just an insight to the porn industry. You get to watch some funny 70s porn. You can see these dramatic actors just be naked and they're like saying, oh, it's for like, you know, doing a porn film.
No,
you know, like,
yeah,
you see a lot of nudity, but it's not good. It's not gratuitous or excessive. And like, there's a great thing. Like, this is going to be so spoilery, so I can't say it now, but there's a great thing they do with the nudity right at the end where they just flip it on his head. I thought that was very smart. But,
oh yeah, I think, despite the fact that this film is kind of goofy at times, it's like in excess and stuff, I think PTA is a genius. Like, he is genuinely.
Like, and his film work is amazing. I've only seen Magnolia. I haven't seen his other films. This feels very similar to Magnolia's, and like, you've got lots of disconnected characters coming together for a purpose.
Yeah, and that which is interesting because I think his latter films, or let's say his most recent films,
Phantom Thread. You mean like?
Well, yeah, that, and also. Not so much Inherent Vice. Inherent Vice is more in this category.
Oh, okay.
But The Master and There Will Be Blood. Very, very, very much they're centered on characters. They're character pieces. They're not. These are like ensemble pieces that take a bunch of characters, not necessarily to like explore like a main protagonist to like the extent of, say, There Will Be Blood does with Daniel Plainview, but it uses those characters to kind of explore, one, the industry, two, like the individuals in that industry, and three, the time they're in as well. You know, like it's very smart. Yeah,
it's a very smart film.
But that's not at the forefront of what's going on. That isn't being rammed down your throat.
No,
you're just
it's not preachy as well, which
that's
I love.
right.
Like,
yeah.
Because you could love and hate the porn industry, even if you're like, you know, if you're Bible Belt vehemently against it, you're like, how dare they? You know, like it can read up to what you want it to be. You can see these characters being punished. Otherwise, you can say, oh, what an American dream! This could inspire you to want to enjoy the porn industry. And you know what? Like, I must say, I've never wanted to be a porn star my life, but you know what? Watching this film, you can see why people do it. You can be like, you just take your clothes off, you just have sex with one of the greatest feelings you can have, and then like there's all the money. Like,
these people kind of they need help and they need a way out of a situation. They think quickly and they go, well, I could either, you know, as literally one character goes, I can either go through school and deal with like the horrible things I have to face there, or I can do this other thing that I'm good at, that I think is like my destiny, and do it well.
Yeah,
you know, like
it's my destiny to fuck people. Right?
Yeah, like,
and he says it. Like,
but and then you watch kind of like this family, like what they go through, you know,
and they are a family. Great film, great film. Should we rate it?
Yeah, dude, my thumbs are up, man.
My thumbs are up at 2. Like, for Thursday night, like, this is not the movie to put you in the mood. Like, you don't have like sex after this film.
No. But again, it's one of those ones that's like, it's a really good film, but I don't know where I would recommend to watch this. I think once you sat down to watch it, like, I think you'd enjoy it, but it's not. This isn't like sit down with your Thursday mates and have a laugh.
No, I think it's a conversation starter.
That's right. Yeah. It's one of those films that like you sit down to watch and like be prepared to have a conversation with, and also like because it's obviously strictly for adults. It's not. Yeah.
So you're not going to sit around the family table.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't know. I feel like porn is still a taboo topic of conversation. Like, you don't
totally. Yeah.
So even now in the gratuitous world that we live in, so like, I don't know if you ever wanted to have an intelligent conversation about pornography and like, you know, the way it's not just the way it's made, but the way it impacts people's lives. Like, you know, like all the pros and cons. Like, I feel like if you want to have a conversation with someone about it, this is like the catalyst. I feel like sit them down, watch this film, make some tea, and then be like, so what has porn done for you? Like.
And, you know, maybe the conversation isn't even started on necessarily porn. There's other things.
Oh, yeah, just about what's your relationship to excess, or like, have you got a dream? Has it failed?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot in this.
There's a lot going on.
So thumbs up from the Banter Boys.
There's a lot going on, because it's complicated. Sorry, I just have to say
I'm like, you'd like this film.
I just have to say that, because it's my catchphrase.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It is complicated in a good way. I love it when films do this.
My catchphrase is, it's not complicated.
So yeah, shall we get into some spoilers? Nothing but spoilers.
What do you do the Star Wars thing?
Spoilers. Because everyone's fucking obsessed with spoilers, and it's always the Star Wars fan base that's like losing their minds over like.
I like it.
Which is like, it's just ridiculous. Like, it's like
so every time you're seeing it, you're just secretly digging at the Star Wars fan base. It's like, you
kind
fuckers.
But it's I don't know. I don't really give a shit about spoilers, to be honest. It's like, if a film's spoiled for me, like, it's like, meh. Let's see how it's executed. You know, like, I care about more about that than I do about necessarily plot points. In saying that, though, if I was to watch something, let's say like Fight Club, and I knew like it's
I knew the spoiler of Fight Club going in,
but it'd still be a good time, because you'd be like, wow, this is really well executed, and I can see like all these threads happening.
Yeah. That's the thing, like, rewatching it for the first time, spoilers for Fight Club if you don't know the major spoiler, but how like Brad Pitt never existed. Like, I remember like watching through the film and you see like the little like flicks of like, and I'm like, oh, and like, because you know it going in for you're just like, oh, you appreciate it, and then obviously when the twist is revealed, you're like, oh yeah, because it's the character that feels the most shock out of anyone, not just the audience. So
great film. Yeah, great film.
Great film. That'd be older than 20 years, surely.
No, I think it was early 2000s, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really?
Was it? Oh, no. You keep talking. I'm going to do a lookup of...
So, yeah, spoilers. I want to start off this whole spoiler conversation with hair, Brenton. I think hair is a very important...
Righto, yeah.
I think the best haircut and the worst haircut in cinema... Okay, wait, go. When's...
Fight Club was released in 1999, so who knows? Next year, there might be a 20th anniversary episode coming out.
Damn.
Who knows? I didn't say it. Did I?
Remember, the first rule of it, though, is that you don't talk about it. So we're going to have to break the rule if we do a podcast episode.
Oh, shit.
Damn it, we're in a loop.
Shit.
But yeah, so
hair.
The most important thing to talk about this movie straight off the bat. So the best and worst haircut in this film, of all cinema, is in this film. Let's start with best. It's Burt Reynolds. Like,
oh yeah, what a suave dude.
Dude, he's got like brown eyebrows and a brown beard, but this white, beautiful white, like hair just on his head.
And if we're getting really into it, like also the hairs on his arms, like his hairy arms.
He's got like classic 70s hairy arms.
He's got that look. He's got that 70s look going on. Like,
dude, he looks so cool with it. I'm like, fuck, you're awesome. Like, he's just doing the cocaine. He's just like pulling back his hair. I'm just like, bud, you're just awesome. Like I love your hair. Like,
cocaine and hair makes a good dude cool, I guess.
Yeah. That's what I want to be when I grow up. But so he's definitely got the best. Props to him.
Let's get to the worst.
Easily the worst haircut in cinema. There's two of them, but the one that's most prevalent throughout the film is obviously Mark Wahlberg.
It's such a shitty haircut. When he rocks up in the film, which I think is the point, mind you. But
yes.
Like, when he rocks up like this skinny little kid in this nightclub doing the dishes.
Yeah.
And like he turns around and he has like, I can't even call it like a mop. Because like a mop like moves as you like mop the floor, like it expands. It's like the hair moves and stuff.
It's the worst wig in cinema.
This is like it looks like a rugby helmet. It looks like a piece of rugby head.
It's literally been like taped onto his head. Yeah. And I'm looking at it, and that's the thing. Like, he gets all this success, and it doesn't change. Like 5 years pass over the whole film, and not once does he get that thing cut.
The funniest scene is when he goes and gets it like styled. That like there's a montage of him like going to
shopping.
The top barb or whatever in LA, and he's like sitting there and he's like, and he's like I look so good, and like his hair hasn't changed.
No, he gets like all these new clothes and everything's new, but his fucking hair stays the same. You're like, what are you doing? Like, it's so shitty. Good. And especially when he does like the like action movie kind of intro for his porn films, and he's running about on the roofs, and he's still got that fucking haircut. And
does like his karate kicks, like he tries to do a roundhouse Chuck Norris kick.
Oh my gosh!
And then like does like a freeze frame moment, and his hair like hasn't moved. It's like,
you're like, what is this? Like, do you reckon he's just like secretly bald, like as a kid, and he just like stole a wig and he just has it glued onto his head? Like that's the real, like the end of the film. It doesn't reveal, like the end of the film. It's not the dick reveal. It's actually the hair reveal. Like he just takes off the wig. That's how the film ends.
He takes off the helmet and just like puts it down.
It's like, you're a star, and he just like takes off the hair, and he's like, and that's how bald men in pornography were born. Like, it's like, oh. But no, like, I was
Craziness.
just flat. Oh, but the other worst haircut, I literally screenshotted this part in the film. I never normally do this, but I did it because it is the funniest shit
Whose hair?
I've ever seen in my life.
Is Don Cheadle's at the party? It is.
It is the funniest image I have ever seen.
That's a great piece of acting, because look at that face.
Look at that face he's got.
He just knows.
He just knows.
That was probably taken in between takes. Like, that's probably Don Cheadle sitting there going, what the fuck am I doing?
Like, why am I in this film? Because it's not explained. It cuts to a random party, and there's no reason, there's no context. He's just, he's got he looks like Whoopi Goldberg in Sister Act. And he's just sitting there, and then one of the girls comes up to him, and she's like, "Oh, hey, new look," and he's like,
his future wife comes up to him. And
yeah, that's right.
Oh,
and his future wife, she's like, "Oh, what's with the hair?" And he's like, "Oh, it's such a new look." And there's maybe like 5 seconds of just like this awkward pause, and he's like, "Nah, fuck this," and he just like rips it off, and you're like, "Thank God," because it's so shitty.
Great moment though, because he takes off the wig, puts it down, which is. Again, like, man, this film's got such great writing. It's like his build up as a character is him in like his stereo store and whatnot. Trying to sell stereos. Yeah. His love of like country music, and that he always like tries to be a cowboy and dresses as a cowboy. And the kind of relationship I think he's in before kind of falls apart because he's like, so concerned with his look. And then like as the film progresses and like he meets this first scene with his future wife.
His future wife.
he abandons that kind of like let's say vain kind of characteristic he has through the rest of the film. Yeah. And then because he abandons that and actually just kind of laughs at himself self-deprecatingly, they kind of share a moment and have a bit of chemistry, and then he does it. It's that hair, man. The hair works. Yeah, dude. But then he changes and he starts on a new path.
What a great arc he has, because like he starts off with that like that stereo store. Fuck, that was a weird pitch when the guy comes into the store and like Don Cheadle's like grinding on like the stereo gear. He's like, yeah, man, it's all about hi-fi. And just like, the fuck, are you a salesman? Like, what are you doing?
And then he just puts on that country tape. And it's just, that's so funny.
And I'm like,
and the guy is just like disgusted. Like he's just instantly like turned off by anything I need to leave. Before. And then like, he does the film and he's all going about, and then the end, like, where did that scene come from? Where he goes to the convenience store? There's two scenes that I'd say. There's the one where I think this is before, where he gets his loan,
oh yeah, that's the film we were talking about. You and me, that scene where like the reality of being a porn star really hits you, because like
it's like everything's in order. Like this guy is like legit. He's just given a great pitch about like his vow to customer care and to look up like.
And I thought at first it was going to be a race thing. I thought that was like the angle.
I didn't.
Oh, you knew.
It could have been. But for me, it's like that character is never like. He's never a stereotype in the film. I mean, like he loves country music. He's he does like all of these things, and it's like. That's not the thing, though. It's the fact that he's a
porn star. And the fact that like when the bank turns him down, I'm like, dude, just go to another bank. Like, not all of them are going to reject you, but like,
I took it as that like this was the furthest he'd ever gotten with this bank, and every other bank had turned him down like the first step.
Oh, okay.
So this is like it's
heartbreaking, isn't it?
Awful.
Like, you just really feel shitty for him.
He's
like
sitting there with like a pregnant wife, like like starting to start, and
he just wants to start his own
turn
business.
Turn a leaf over, and like
yeah. And then it's like, oh, you were in the pornography. It's like, dude, no one's going to know. It's like, you're just lending out money. No one's going to associate your bank with that. Also, like, how do you think porn films are financed? Like, there are banks who do that. It's like, just go to one of them. Like, oh, it's so sad. And then,
well, I guess he can't because, like, the money that was behind their porn, what's his name? Jack's porn company was thrown in jail for being, having possession of child pornography.
Yeah,
that was the bad dude I was talking about. That guy's
I forgot. Obviously, he's a very evil person.
He's there's not really any redeeming him. Like, I mean, like, he tries to make a sympathetic plight about, like, obviously.
Like, do you still like me, Jack? And like Burt Reynolds is like,
and at the same time, that's a like an awful scene of like
comes out of nowhere, doesn't it?
Oh
like,
yeah, but you're just like, wow, like
it's like, come on, man.
Like, yeah.
It's like, why is it there? It's
and
like,
then his arc is kind of when he's in prison at the end. He's getting his face like beat.
Yeah,
like, holy crap.
That's in real life though. Like you know, child molesters, all the kind of stuff you go to prison and get. I think they have the highest death rate in prison. Like,
yeah, like,
people, even like the other criminals are like, fuck that. Like, yeah, rightly so, mind you.
Not that he's ever like, not he's ever molested anyone or done it, but it's just for possession of child pornography, which is, you know, I'm not saying that that's like, oh, where's the line?
What's the sentence this week? Like,
my point is that like, yeah, like anything regards to that is just like. Yeah, like... Yeah.
But getting back to Don Cheadle, like, so he has, like, that whole thing, you know, where, you know, he opens the store and you feel really good for him, like, yeah, he did it, and he's filming that commercial and you feel good. But then, like, that scene in the convenience store, like...
Well, no, yeah, because the filming happens afterwards, because that's how he funds it, I'm pretty sure, is that he takes
No, that's the last time we see him, is in the convenience store.
No.
Oh, really?
No, yeah, the last time we see him is with his kid at the house. In the pool, remember?
Oh, yeah.
So, like,
but they filmed the commercial prior to the...
No. I'm pretty sure the convenience store happens before and he takes the dirty money to start the business.
Whoa. Yeah, that's right. I was surprised he took the money, because
because it was like he doesn't want to take the money and you're kind of going, don't take the money, but he takes the money because he can't get the loan.
Yeah, and it's true. Wasn't that scene very Tarantino? That was a very Tarantino scene.
It was such a Tarantino scene.
Yeah, but a great scene where, you know, like the guy sitting down, like,
he's
pulling out his gun.
Don't do it. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, just give me the money. And then like, he's like, no, the guy over there. And then the guy fucking shoots this guy in the chest. He fires a shot. Hits the hunter guy in the chest. He fires 2 shots. He goes boom, boom. Shoots the
cashier
worker,
guy, like
in the head.
Yeah.
And Cheadle's standing there in a perfect white suit, now blood splattered, just like with brains on his face, going. Oh. That escalated quickly.
He's like, I should have had my War Machine armor. Damn it! Like. It's so funny because the only work I've seen of Don Cheadle's has been, you know, the Marvel movies and then his horrible accent in Ocean's 11.
I was going to say Ocean's 11.
So, like, I don't have the highest opinion of Don Cheadle. So, like, he's a great bloke, but, like, I haven't seen his amazing work. I know he's got a huge, great work behind him, but, like, this is the first time I've actually seen him be very good.
For sure, yeah.
And so, like, yeah, and he's great. And, like, he acted that scene amazingly. Like, I thought that was a powerful scene.
Yeah, same.
Isn't it weird that I know this is a film about porn, but did you find that everyone in this film is sex obsessed? Like, I remember at the start of the film, like, when, you know, she, like, roller skate girls in class and, you know, like, the guy's, like, saying, like, fuck me, like, he's mouthing those words to her. And then, like, at the music store, like, Don Cheadle's, like, grinding against the speakers. And then the scene after that is where, you know, Mark's in his bedroom and he's got all those, like, posters of all those girls. I'm like, is the film just trying to show that everyone's obsessed with sex in the 70s? Because, like, I don't know. I know this is about the film industry, but I was like, there's a lot of, you know, you're really ramming it down our throats here.
I don't know if I noticed it as much as you, to be honest. Yeah.
I guess maybe I was just, like, reeling after that amazing opening scene where, like, you go to the nightclub and, like, you know, there's that single take where you just where you follow roller skate girl around the club, and I'm like,
don't get me wrong, like, sex is, like, very prevalent in this film, and it's a, you know, it's a yeah, like, everyone does have a. But for me, it's what's more interesting is that the fact that, like, the characters have that, like, sexual obsession, let's say, and then they work and they go to work and they, you know, they do their work, and then, like, the next scene they'll all be, like, having a nice time around the pool, like, you know, like having a little party. Granted, snorting coke and, like, you know, like,
there's a lot of cocaine in this.
Yeah.
But I know, and I love Roller Skate Girl as well. By the way, I thought she was fantastic. I love it when she's in the classroom and we meet her, and, you know, she's just like she's just got to leave the classroom. She can't handle it anymore, and she literally just roller skates out of the classroom. Like, she just bolts for the door, and you're like,
sweetie. What's wrong, sweetie?
And she just, like, rockets out of there. I'm like, dude, you really don't take off your roller skates. Like, do your feet reek? Like, they must.
Oh my god! Maybe she's like, okay. Maybe the real reason she wears roller skates all the time, is because they're actually prosthetics. Like, she doesn't actually.
She's got, like, a peg leg. Like, oh, that changes her very differently. But, like, I don't know. And I love the scene where, like, Mark Wahlberg first goes to Jack's house, and he's like, and Jack's like, oh, do you want to fuck Roller Skate Girl? And her actual name is Roller Skate Girl.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they say her name once.
They do.
It's when that guy,
we'll get to that scene. We'll get to
yeah.
that scene. But I love the scene where like Mark's like, yeah, I want to fuck her, and then she just whips off her clothes, and then she just like leaps onto him, and he's like, oh gosh, and he's they start making out, and then he's like, are you gonna take the blades off? And she's like, no, and he's like, yeah, all right, and he kind of just shrugs it off, and he continues to fuck her like.
Yeah, and she's called Roller Skate Girl the whole movie, and you're like, wow.
And isn't that a very powerful moment then when like they do like the porn videos are now very prevalent, which is like, they drive around the city and they pick up someone, they have sex in the car.
Yeah.
But like when he pioneers it with the biggest air quotes, and they just pick up a guy who just happens to be from her high school.
He's that guy. He's that guy at the start that does the gratuitous hand gestures at her and like, is saying like, mouthing that stuff to her in the class. That's the same guy.
Yeah, he comes back and you're just like, but I didn't even recognize him in that moment.
Burt punches his face in.
Yeah.
And then, which I thought this whole scene was very powerful in regards to like juxtaposing that beat up scene with the Mark beat up scene. But then they're kicking the shit out of him because they think he's gay or whatever.
Yeah,
he's prostituting himself.
Yeah.
But and then
that was a sad scene, wasn't it? Mark's wanking in the car. He was like, "Oh, dude," and like he asked for $20 and he only has a 10. It's like, gosh. Yeah.
And then it's not even that. It's that they're like, rounding up gays and like beating the crap out of them.
Yeah,
like,
it's like this is LA. This ain't exactly like Austin. Like,
but back to Roller Skate Girl. I think her name was Brie or something. Was it?
Yeah. It started with a B. Like, yeah. Because when he says it though, like you're like,
you just see the trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
it's like when it's like, your name's Bruce Wayne. He's like, no, I'm Batman.
But yeah, Burt takes the offense of like that his films aren't as good anymore. So he's like reverting to this bullshit, like in the back of some limo, like
what's Dirk's real name?
Random guys. Sorry,
what's Dirk's real name again? Like
Dirk.
Leo or something like that?
Oh,
because you forget it because he just becomes Dirk. Like
let me look it up.
Same thing with Roller Skate Girl, right?
His name's Eddie. Sorry,
oh Eddie,
Adams.
pardon me. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she jumps out, and it's like it's that moment of defiance of like she is just over like being treated like this
like shit like the whole film. Like.
Yeah, that's right, and she stamps her fucking rollerblades into this guy's face. It's like, and then it like does like a close up shot on his face again, and it's still like the same blood as when Burt was beating it up, and I was like, he wouldn't have a nose.
No, like, he would be dead. Like,
holy crap!
You have to wash her blades after that to get rid of the evidence.
Holy shit! Like, he looks like he'd be hemorrhaging. Like,
dude, imagine having a rollerblade to the face. Like, you would be
repeatedly,
repeatedly, like harshly. Like, oh my gosh, you'd be dead. Like, what a brutal scene. Like, man,
yeah.
Rollerblade girl, but then juxtapose that to when she's like that very sweet scene where she asked Julianne Moore to be her actual mother.
Yeah,
like the film just goes back and forth. Like it just
and
what a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
And Julianne Moore's like she's high off her face on coke, but she's like, "I'll be your mum," and then the girl's high off her face on coke.
I can't call it a beautiful scene because I think it's like these two characters that are literally like delusional.
Yeah,
like they're past the point of like like and it's just
they're
like,
up in the fairies.
So for me, it's like a moment of like, oh shit, like come on guys, like go like find your real son and like try to actually forge like a motherly
and then when she
relationship
tries
with him.
like you're like, you idiot. It's
well,
like
you never see the son in the film. It's like her one attempt is like being called into court to settle like
the custody.
Like,
yeah.
Which the husband probably
were you expecting your husband to look like that? Like he looks not what I thought her husband would look like.
What did you think he was?
I don't know. I thought it'd be like some hotshot, like motorbike riding kind of like.
Oh, I kind of like him that he's a regular Joe. Like he's just, like and
you wonder what she would have been like around him. Like maybe the porn industry radically changed her. Like before that, she was like a normal person.
But then maybe I think that relationship never really probably. Maybe she got. Maybe she was. Maybe it was an unwanted pregnancy, but
potentially.
She
loves that
she loves
kid.
The child,
and she makes everyone her children. Like she mothers everyone. Like
I
think she has genuine love for Mark Wahlberg. Like
I agree, but
and vice versa as well.
Man, but that's a messed up relationship. She has this motherly. She wants to be motherly and affectionate with Mark Wahlberg, but starts like
fucking him. Like
but starts like an affair with him. Like,
wasn't really because like Burt Reynolds knows, and he. I don't think Burt Reynolds and her are like a thing. Like,
I think they are, but
really?
I think I agree that Burt Reynolds doesn't really give a shit.
No, he doesn't. Yeah. Like he's just like I'm important. Like
I mean, like God,
fuck,
he's like, all right, we're going to be in a relationship, both business and intimate. But the business side, you're also going to be like having sex with all these various men.
See, there's so much juxtaposition in this film because
Yeah.
when you compare that to William H. Macy's relationship,
Yes.
like they couldn't be more polar
That's
opposite.
right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And those two characters. So like it doesn't affect him. Like it's all business and it's his world. William H. Macy is still trying to fucking have like a.
Why doesn't he leave his wife? Like I don't understand it. Like
It's awful. That's
so bad.
That's awful.
Like,
and
it's one of the early scenes in the film as well when you first see her like.
And it just keeps building, like how
keeps
bad that
going.
infidelity and like that.
And he's just like, what is he? He's like a script supervisor. He's just something on the film.
He's
set.
assistant
Like,
director. I'm pretty sure.
that's right. Yeah, and he's almost identical to his character in Fargo. Like he's got that kind of like guy down in his like kind of vibe.
I know, like William H. Macy just plays that role perfectly.
Oh,
like that's his typecasting. But God, he nails it.
Because
like,
he did
every
Fargo
time.
in '96, and then this was '97, so he would have done like back to back, and like and you just feel so sorry for him, and like I love it when you go to the party and there's like that circle of people around his wife on the driveway.
I don't feel sorry for him.
Well,
I don't, because I agree with you. I think he should get out of the situation.
He should have left. Like,
he should have left the situation. I don't feel sorry for him that it gets too, because he should have left the relationship if he knew that it was going to get to the point where it became too much for him and he was going to fucking murder two people.
Yeah, we'll get to
And
that.
then, holy shit, like.
But like, I don't know. I found it funny because it's funnier parts because like.
That's the brilliance of the film is
because
that
it's so
hilarious.
sad.
Like it's hilarious, and everyone's so nonchalant about it, and they're like, "Yeah, she is." Like
she is a porn star.
Like I've had sex with her. Like this, you know what I mean? Like
my wife has fucked her. It's like, you know.
The worst is though, like the worst, like it's funny, like because of like the situational comedy of the thing of that. There's literally a group of people standing around a car
on a
park.
driveway.
Yeah,
I love that scene where like the guy talks to William H. Macy and like it's framed beautifully where they're both on the edge of the frame and the center in the background is like the crowd.
Yeah,
and they're trying to have a conversation. It's very Coen Brothers. Like I thought that was very Coen Brothers.
And the guy's like, all right, so we're gonna shoot the scene like this, like we're gonna get.
William H. Macy's like, shut the fuck up, let me leave.
And the guy's like, oh yeah, like whatevs, like. What, I'm just here trying to do my job and talk about, this film we're shooting this afternoon, whatever, and like, what, you're like, you can't talk about it? And he's like, are you seeing what's in the background of this shot?
This is my wife. He like points to like PTA and he's like, look at where we are.
And then that leads obviously to the climax of the middle point of the film. I didn't see it coming. Change from the 70s to the 80s. Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah. It's probably the most brilliant moment in the film.
It's genius. And what a metaphor for the change of the decade. Like, the 70s dying, that beauty, because it's the first real horrific thing to happen in the movie.
That's right, yeah.
And that's when the 80s like kicks in and you wake up. Like, yeah. And it really comes out of nowhere and it's a very long shot where he walks to the car, he picks up the gun and you're like, oh,
but
no.
even beforehand, when he's looking for her, he's looking for her. Like the countdown starting. It's like, and it's like, it's. And
what did you think was going to happen?
Year's. Of course, it's New Year's. Like, it's the change of the decade too. And he's looking for her, and then he goes to the car and like obviously he's getting the gun, and like you would have picked as well.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, like he's gonna kill the guy, or he's gonna maybe kill her and the guy, and then. That's like kind of in the foreground of the shot where like he walks down that hall and just
and you don't see the act
and then like comes
you
out
just hear it
back into that living room. He gives this weird fucking half smile and then shoots himself.
Boom.
Just
cuts hard cuts to like the next scene. Like, God, what a powerful scene. I thought he was genius in that film.
Oh
like,
he is.
William H. Macy, like,
he's incredible.
Underrated like he does amazing work. God, he's amazing. I also thought what made underrated actor in this film as well was Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh yeah,
he's because he rocks up late in the movie and he's so good.
And like, but even his arc and like the way he what a great actor.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God,
he's so good at playing pathetic characters. Like that's his shtick. But like, God, like,
oh dude, you've got to watch The Master. Oh my God,
is he in The Master?
Dude, yeah, because you know what The Master's about, right?
Oh, it's with Amy Adams as well, isn't it?
Yeah, Amy Adams, Joaquin Phoenix, and Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yes,
but do you know what it's about?
It's about the post-World War II joining a cult. Isn't that it?
Yeah, well, he wanted to. PTA wanted to make a film about L. Ron Hubbard and Scientology.
That's right.
And then obviously they couldn't get the rights to like Scientology because the Scientologists. So they named it like as a different religion in the film, but it's Scientology.
It's Scientology,
and he's L. Ron Hubbard. Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Really,
dude, and he's not pathetic. He's maybe to a certain extent, but like. It's a brilliant performance. Yeah,
damn.
It's incredible.
And
what's interesting about that film too, just for our listeners out there that enjoy The Master, because I enjoy The Master. I think obviously because PTA is one of my.
Where does this
directors.
rank? Boogie Nights. I'll go on with The Master, then we'll talk about that.
Yeah, sure. So But what's interesting about The Master was originally it was going to be L. Ron Hubbard's story, that character's the main character, and Philip Seymour Hoffman was going to play him. Then Philip Seymour Hoffman was sitting there in the room because Joaquin Phoenix plays this like guy that's taken in by the cult.
Oh, okay.
And then Philip Seymour Hoffman said, no, this should be his story, and I'm the supporting character that's like kind of in and out of the film. And then like that was like the smartest decision that was made in that film, because if it had been the other way around, I don't think it would have worked as well.
No.
Like this, it works.
I mean, they're both talented men, but like, yeah.
Of course, like it's so... There's a scene in The Master that's just some of the greatest acting like you'll ever see.
No. It's like a very dark room. It's almost like a cell, they sit opposite each other.
They do like the Scientology.
Yeah.
What do they call it? It's that word. The
Dianetics. That like.
When they start interviewing the first interview.
That's right. I have seen that scene on YouTube. I've seen it without context.
It's incredible.
It is incredible.
It is incredible.
That's right. Yeah. I think it was like watching a YouTube video that said like best acting ever. And
but there's six of those scenes in the film.
Oh, okay.
That are like at that level.
Top 6 best acting ever. From The Master.
And those two are just like, and Amy Adams as well. Like that cast is just killing it.
Damn.
Not Riz Ahmed. God, what's his name? Mr. Robot.
Rami Malek.
Yeah. I love him, by the way. He's such a great actor. I remember seeing him in The Pacific, that series.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I remember Not at the Museum. Like, that's real Rami Malek.
The Pacific, I was like, this guy, he's the next big thing. Like, I was like, this guy's great. And then, like, he started getting roles, and I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys, I was like, yeah, dude, I was at the start.
I knew from the beginning.
Now he's Freddie Mercury. Fuck yeah.
Which apparently is good. Apparently Bohemian Rhapsody is really good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm excited to see it. Yeah.
Same.
What a tangent. What another tangent.
Yeah. That was when the Bryan Singer got kicked off, right? He was going to do Bohemian Rhapsody, and then
I think
and then all those like allegations came out.
Who was he? Was he going to direct it?
No, he was directing it.
Wow,
he was
right.
like he was fuck, who were they? He was like Philip Lord and Chris Miller.
Yeah,
he was just booted off the set and like
shit.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Sacha Baron Cohen was originally going to play.
That's
Freddie
right.
Mercury.
Yeah. Do you know the story behind that about why he didn't do it?
I've heard him talk about it on
Howard Stern. He does a good.
Howard Stern. Yeah, when he's like, I wanted to explore, these sides of Freddie and talk about these things about his life, and the band was kind of like, no, no, and it's like, and then halfway through the film, Freddie dies. It's like. Halfway through the film.
It's like, that's the climax of the film.
The end of the film. And it's like, no, then we continue on with the band. And he was like, I'm out. So I'll be interested to see
how they do it with this. If we see that plot point.
Yeah.
But, what were we talking about before?
We were talking about...
Oh, it was Philip Seymour Hoffman.
That's right, yeah.
He was great in this film. And I love his introduction. Like, I love it when he tries to go high-five Mark Wahlberg and Mark Wahlberg just ignores him. Like, there's a great scene with that. And like, obviously the scene where he kisses him. Like, because it builds up for a while, and like, so come see my car, man, and like, bless Mark Wahlberg, like, he's genuinely kind to him, like, despite he can't be that oblivious to his advances, like he must know that he's gay and likes him, like, yeah. Like, I love it when they have that pool party and Philip Seymour Hoffman first lays eyes on Mark Wahlberg, and there's like a vignette, like the camera does this like...
Yes, and like that's the reveal of his character.
Yeah. And he's just overweight and he wears no clothes that fit him. Even when he gets the new clothes, they still don't fit him. Like, you just like... He's also got a pretty shitty haircut as well. Like,
yes, he does, yeah.
A lot of shitty haircuts in this film.
Yeah, while we're on the
and he
subject,
survives.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
At the end of it, he survives.
He's still around.
Yeah.
But
what you were going to say?
I was just going to say, let's talk about the whole supporting cast.
Yeah.
So, let's go through them. John C. Reilly, fantastic.
Oh, he's great.
Like,
I love his I love it when he's like making the shakes at the bar, and
yes, the whole like kind of like the one up kind of relationship they have.
Yeah,
at
it's
the
like,
start
what
of,
do you
like,
bench 2? What do you bench 300? Like, you idiots! Like, you have no idea what you're talking
them,
about.
Like, trying to fucking flip into the pool, and then like John just does like he lands on his back doing like a somersault.
Yeah, and everyone's like, "Oh,
you meant to land on your feet. Like, get your feet around." He's like, "I know."
He's funny. Also, you know what was really weird? So he starts doing like card tricks early on. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna like be a magician," that kind of stuff.
And how he ends as a magician.
Yeah. But like, there's a scene where he does straight up Harry Potter magic, where like the vase, it's like fucking floating, and like the camera pans around him because he's doing like all these shitty card tricks, and half the time they fail, and you're like, oh haha, he's trying to do some magic at party. But then it just like later, like 40 minutes later, there's a fucking floating like jug of water.
He hits his stride. He starts like but he does
like
went
legit,
to Hogwarts. Like
he went to Hogwarts. He does legit magic, like, and it's never explained. And you're like, that's not a party trick. That's like he's Gandalf. Like, what happened? And then And then it cuts to the very end where like he has this little magician show. I love how we have the little epilogues to each character.
Yeah.
And his is like doing that like
in the strip club. Like,
yeah, in the strip.
like,
What a great gimmick though. I tell you what, I'm not above it. I would definitely pay money to see a John C. Reilly magic strip show. You can quote me on that, listeners. I will do it. I'll slap down the $50 entry fee.
Give John a call. Just be like, hey mate, I just watched Boogie Nights.
Oh, by the way, he's definitely done that in real life. I'm sure John C. Reilly at some point got really drunk and he's like, fuck, he rocks up some local magic show and he's like, get me a porn star. Like I'm gonna make him disappear.
Yeah, John C. Reilly, great performance. And I like
He's
how he
great.
kind of has like, he has a moral line of like at the end that he wants to get the hell out of that situation that they get themselves
Yeah, we'll talk about that soon, but like we'll go through the others.
Yeah.
Who's the guy who rocks up late who befriends Mark Wahlberg? Like the Tom guy who like, you know, so he's like in a group is like Philip Seymour Hoffman.
The third guy, the guy that is also in that situation.
The guy with the
end.
moustache and everything.
I have the cast list right here.
Yeah. He was. I didn't like him that much. I didn't think it was anything special, but I thought he still did his role quite well.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's Thomas Jane. His name was as Todd Parker. Todd was the guy's name. Let's talk about Alfred Molina.
Yes, because that was one of the biggest surprises of the film. Right as the film's about to wrap up, out of nowhere, suddenly rocks up
Alfred fucking Molina with
Dr. Octopus
with
himself.
And here it comes.
Here we go.
The Sam Raimi and his fucking Spider-Man trilogy always make it into these episodes. Oh, Doc Ock himself with the silly mustache and these long hair and these dance moves.
And the guy throwing Chinese like fireworks everywhere. Like bang, bang.
It's a privilege.
It's a privilege. Yeah. She was studying literature. I was studying physics. Like, girls love poetry, Parker.
Poetry is the way to a woman's heart.
What does he say to his arms at the end when he's like,
listen to me now.
hey, mind you,
I will not die a monster.
That's right. He drags the sun under the water.
Drown it in the river. Dude, there's so many other lines like, Butterfingers.
It's so good. Here's your change, and he just like gets whacked in the head with the coins, like.
Or like, when there's a point in Spider-Man 2 where he gets fucking whacked out of the bank by like this table that Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And it's so funny. Like, go back and watch that scene.
Because he flies in that.
He like goes flying out of the building,
and he crashes into a taxi
like halfway across the street. Like that was one hell of a table. Like,
and by the way, he hasn't got any superpowers. It's just the arm. So that table to his chest should have killed him,
crushed him,
like,
and he should be lying there dead. And then the arms should then like walk away with his dead corpse.
Like, well, I guess we have to carry on. Like, it's just him. It's him dead for the rest of the movie.
Dead rotting corpse.
It just gets more and more.
Spider-Man's like, ooh.
Oh, it's so good. When he kidnaps Aunt May and she's like, shame on you. And she like whacks him. And it's a slow motion shot of him going,
and his badass like trench coat and fedora.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Doc Ock in the comics with his like fringe cut, his bowl cut. And
that's right.
He's like, he's circular sunglasses or whatever. Like, he's never like really an imposing like cool dude. He's just like this weird octopus man. Mm-hmm. But in Sam Raimi, they gave him style.
They gave him so much. And like, bless him, like Alfred Molina gives a full performance.
Dude, he's
like,
a great actor. Yeah,
he's
it's a
so
shame
good
we
in
don't see him in more stuff. You know?
No, he does lots of like TV nowadays.
Yeah,
like great guest spots on like TV shows. Like,
and he was also in this. He worked with Steven Spielberg. He was in the start of Raiders of the Lost Ark. He's the he's the guy that dies at the start. Yeah,
that's right.
Which isn't much of a role, but it's still like
he still nails it.
Like, there you are, Alfred. Oh, good old Freddy.
He's so good, Alfred Molina. Like,
Yeah.
bless him. Like, yeah, he's great Doc Ock.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you go through this film and then they have to like sell the cocaine and that kind of stuff, and then they rock up to the house and Alfred Molina opens the door, and I remember when that happened, I'm like, yes. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so glad we get the surprise last act.
The man's no Green Goblin, but I mean, like,
no, but like, I love he's just dancing about. He's just playing all the 80s music, and they're just like, it's the tension is so high in that scene.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
oh my god,
I remember holding
like,
my breath
when he starts fooling around with his revolver and stuff, and like pointing at his face and pointing it at them. You're just like, oh god. And then in the background, and like it shows a shot of the bodyguard, like, you know, checking
like,
the drugs, like checking the coke. Which we know is baking soda.
Yeah.
And then like it goes back to Alfred for a while, and we stay on him, and you're like, oh, can we find out what's going on with the security guy behind them?
And the mate gets too cocky.
And then dude, it just gets into an all-out shootout. like because Todd is a dickhead.
Very Tarantino again.
And starts going, let's get into his floor safe under his bed, and it's like, no, get out. Get out!
and the bodyguard gets shot like multiple times.
Yeah, dude. And like Todd's dead. Todd gets shotgunned.
Yeah. And then like they run towards the car, and like when Mark just jumps in and like he's driving away, he's like, "Ugh!"
And Johnny just like jumps over a hedge and like
he's like, fuck this. And Mark's just speeding away like. What a great scene. What a great scene.
Yeah,
Another really great scene I also want to talk about is the first sex scene you see in this film between Julianne Moore and Mark Wahlberg.
Them shooting that first porn scene?
That was amazing.
Oh man, like it's a great scene, yeah.
What a well-crafted scene.
Handled well, like just really good filmmaking for like something that could have, I imagine, was quite difficult to like to do.
Yeah, because and they keep some cuts and cuts. I love how it cuts between like zoom ins on their skin and then it cuts to the cold camera.
Yeah, dude.
Like really warm, sexual, and then you see the whirring of the film.
Yes.
Like yeah, and it's just
brilliant.
It's such a cold, like industrial kind of interpretation of a love scene. It's like it couldn't be more like non-human.
And the nonchalant like stare of like the crew behind them just like staring at this like love making. It's just like
yeah, because it establishes the great dynamic between Julianne and Mark. I love that scene where they first meet and they're in the cafe and they're talking and that Jack's trying to pitch the porn industry, and like the camera pans from like Jack to Julian as you see Mark's gaze, and then it patterns from like roller skate girl to like Mark, and you can see them both taking interest in each other. I thought that was excellent camera work
for sure. And then
when it cuts to that scene, like I love that Julianne Moore just so nonchalantly just says some of the best lines in the film, like "Come on, my tits if you can," and he's like, "I'm gonna make you look beautiful," and she looks at him and she's like, "This is a giant cock." And then she just takes off the pants, and you're like, because you know there's bad porn dialogue.
Well, hey,
but then there's that porn dialogue.
I gotta say as well, these actors do such a good job of like presenting bad acting.
Yeah. And the dialogue's really well so funny. And she's like, "This film's very important to me, so I wanted you to do it well." And he's like, I guess you got to see my body, like, and they just do it, and like she just goes down and gives him head, and you're just like, oh gosh, and it reminds you how far the porn industry has come, like, like the production value has gotten better since then.
Well, that's what I mean, like, and then you just go like, there's like award ceremonies for this.
Speaking of which,
there's porn theaters and things like this. They're making money. Like you're looking at the money that's coming in for these like little film productions that would just be making however much.
And they just cuts like the Oscars of like the porn awards.
I know.
But here's the thing. Okay, so the first time you go to those porn awards, it says the second annual porn awards. But then, this is a weird nitpick, when it cuts to the next time you go to the award ceremony, it says the 42nd annual porn awards. And I'm like, what? I'm like
40 years ago.
I'm like, what? Because he wins the second annual one, and then later on it does like a montage, and it says the 42nd annual. I'm like, hold up, annual means once a year. It hasn't been 40 fucking years. Does someone not know how to count?
I'm 40 years ago, like in the 50s, like the porn awards.
Like, I'm so confused. Like, was there a set designer who just thought, let's see if we can sneak this in? Because I'm like, obviously it hasn't been 40. Like, they don't do one every month, like if it's that annual. So I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to look that up and see what the hell
I was
happened.
very confused by that. But like, yeah, and I love his little acceptance speech. He's like, I just want to keep on making better art. And I'm like, you do you, Marky Mark.
Oh, yeah. And like, they're all like, yeah, because this is helping. This is changing people's lives. Yeah, and it's like
it's not the doco she does on him. It's like, oh, he's just like, you know, when Julianne Moore makes it.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. It's just like this, I don't know. Like it's really, because he's got heart. He's got like character, this kid, and he wants to be something. And it's almost like he just wants to be something more than what he is. Like, yeah.
Exactly, like, yeah. And go.
I was going to bring up another scene that I thought we got to talk about, like, at that first party scene, when we go to Burt's first party scene at his place where, you know, Mark comes along and meets John C. Reilly and stuff. And the girl that ODs upstairs.
Oh, yeah.
And that guy, like, it's hilarious, that scene.
Oh, it's so funny. It's like, this is the second one this week.
This is twice in 2 days. The chick has OD'd on me. And he's, like, crying. And it's, like, awful. And then this girl starts, like, hemorrhaging on the floor.
Yeah,
and they
she's not dead.
And they're all just like, oh, get her to the hospital. Come on. Like, you know, and they just...
That's enough of that. Like, they just lift her out through the back door. And you're like...
Oh, and that's when we meet Philip Seymour Hoffman. He goes, "Oh, is she all right?" And he goes, "Fuck off." She's clearly like dying.
And it's like probably like the 10th girl that they had to do that for. Like there's a sadly high number of that.
Again,
like,
it was that Pulp Fiction thing of like, we've killed, what's his name, Marty, like in the back of the truck, and we've got to call the wolf in to like clean up this mess.
That's
it was
right.
like the guy was just like, oh yeah, this is the 6th one this week. Just putting her out there, like do this, do that, like whatevs. And this girl's like dying. And this guy's crying, and it's like, oh, you don't think you should be changing your substance? And he's like, oh yeah, probably.
You're right, probably. Yeah, I guess so.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I also love the irony. The irony. Maybe my favorite thing in this film is that when Mark Wahlberg or Dirk Douglas, whatever his name is, like when his career in the porn industry fails, he attempts a music career. And I love the irony that it's Mark Wahlberg who does that, who had the reverse, that he tried a music career that failed epically as Marky Mark, and then he switches to the film industry.
Yeah.
I just found the irony so good with that.
Dude, and like those scenes are hilarious.
Oh my
Where John
God.
sees in the recording booth, like bopping his head along.
And it's
they're
the
like,
worst music you've ever
I
heard.
think this isn't balanced right. I think the bass is taking away from my vocal. And then John's like in the background, like vigorously nodding, and the guy's like, no, I think it's pretty balanced. And it's like, did you hear what the fuck I said? Can you lower that bass, please? Yeah.
And then they can't get the tapes. And like, you idiots.
It's
It's
like, this is like pure art. This is like our pure art. Like,
I'm like, you're not Queen. Shut the fuck up. It's like,
and the song's like awful that they just write on the spot. Like
Yeah.
he's just riffing and stuff, and like John C's just like strumming the guitar, and it's like this awful song that they've just like sung on their first go through.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first attempt. They're like, yeah, that's good. Let's put it down. So good.
Oh.
So funny.
oh,
Holy
it's
shit.
so good.
Yeah.
There's just 2 more things I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, sure, man.
First, and they're both at the end. One is Don Cheadle, and I love that we see his birth scene, and it ends up being in a porn video. Like,
No, it's Philip Seymour Hoffman's filming it. I just presumed it was like, get the porn gear. Like, I want this on tape.
Oh!
Like, I want this to be like a
I thought this was gonna be like a niche video.
No,
like,
dude, I took it as like that was a nice moment because people film pregnancies and stuff.
They do.
Yeah, sorry, birthings, not pregnancies.
Yeah.
9
They
months of film. Like,
it's a very it's experimental art, like.
no, but like people, for some reason, I don't know if I'd want that on tape.
No.
Personally, but there's birthing videos and stuff that like people take and like so you can hold the baby for the first time and have that on camera. So it's kind of like the family again's coming together, and it's like, oh, quick, Philip, grab the camera, like, come on, let's go. It's like, we're meant to be shooting this porno today. Oh, fuck it, just come on, like, she's giving birth, yeah. So it's kind of like a weird kind of nice moment, like which was kind of odd because you're like, that camera's seen other uses. Like, yeah.
And then the ending of the film, like the very last scene I want to talk about before I'm done with spoilers.
Yep.
Because the whole film, you see tits, you see everything, but you never see a dick. And the camera work is very intelligent, the way it kind of hides the dick and all that kind of stuff.
But we always see reactions to
his dick, and you hear about it, his giant cock, and you're like, he's like, I'm gonna be a star, and he looks at himself in the mirror and he jacks off, but you never see it, and you're just like, oh, come on, mate, like, if we can see boobs, we can see a cock, you know what I mean? Like, and I didn't think we were gonna see it. But then he's talking to himself in the mirror, and like he just takes his pants off and out pops this dick, which I think is the fakest penis I think I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, obviously it's a
prosthetic. It's not really Mark Wahlberg's dick, like.
But it's one of those things that like the way, and then that's how the film ends. He pulls up his pants and he goes out to shoot the scene, and then it's cut to credits, and
we never know anything more beyond that.
No, but it's kind of like. It's kind of a humorous, like, you're like, what the fuck, like, that's how it ends. Like, that's like would probably be your first response. But the more you kind of think about it, it's like it's the perfect end to this film.
Oh, isn't it?
Like, it's just like it's kind of where it's all inevitably heading. This guy is like, because you see him looking in the mirror, like at the start at his muscles and his things, and it's like he's like so disillusioned with like himself as like he is this like. This feat of human creation that's just like taking on the world, and like nothing can go wrong. He can be a musician, he can do all this, he can do anything he wants, but he still hasn't like faced the sad realities of like he hasn't actually looked himself in the eyes and gone, I need to sort some fucking shit out with like my family and my life and stuff before I even like consider doing anything. And like for me, it's kind of this moment of like you said it before, like there could be a sequel to this film.
Oh yeah,
of
easy.
like going into like the modern era with.
I would love to see a second Boogie Nights. It's just like 15 years later with the advent of the internet and how the film porn
to be
industry
honest, I
adjusts.
think Mark Wahlberg's character wouldn't be there. I think he'd be dead. Yeah.
Oh, probably would. Yeah.
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 And that's like that sad moment as he goes
That's
back
the
into,
underlying
like,
sadness of the film, like the real darkness undercutting the glory.
That's right, yeah. But at the same time, the film kind of ends on this, like, on that long shot of, like, going through the family house. Of, like, Burt, the matriarch, going through and checking everyone's okay to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Which is a nice moment, granted. But there's this undercurrent of what's really going on as well. Of, like, it still does... Has Burt kind of had an arc, and has he changed? And has he, like... Because he embraces Mark at the end. But is that from a business perspective of that his business is failing now and he needs Mark to reach the heights of what he had before?
It's such a blurring of lines.
Or has he realized that, you know, he does love this kid and he does, you know, love
Maybe
these
it's a bit
people
of
around him.
both. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's cool that we have that discussion.
It is.
About that character and about all these characters, you know?
Mm.
Yeah. But it is a kind of sad moment of, like, the ending of that film. You're like, oh, man. This isn't good. This isn't going to end well.
And there was never any more porn made. And that was the end of the porn industry.
It was a good film.
Great film. So, hey, Brenton.
Hey.
Hey.
What's going on, Nathan?
Let's look at this film's poster.
Oh, pass that poster over here, bro.
All right. So, Boogie Nights. You know what, man? I'm going to be straight up with you. I'm not a fan of this poster. Because, like,
it's a bit...
it's this weird collage. It's like a giant star on a black background. And it's just this, like, weird collage of, like, just, like, random cutouts of the film. It's like they hired a kid just to be like, okay, here's all the PG shots of the film. Can you just, like, glue this onto a star? And they're like, okay. And they just make this the poster.
Yeah, it's like this weird, like, photo wall, isn't it? Where, like, you've literally, like, pasted, like...
Yeah. So we see in, like uni frat apartments, you know?
That's
It's
right.
like, yeah.
You, like, literally pasted it to the wall of, like, all these photos of, like, on top of each other of faces of people.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, this star that kind of cuts everything out. Yeah, not a great poster.
Not a great poster. I would have much preferred, like, I don't know, just maybe Mark Wahlberg's dick on the poster. Just like,
I don't know about that.
See it in use. Like,
yeah, what would the poster have been?
I don't know, probably just like Mark Wahlberg shirtless. I feel like that would have
what would have been a really good poster is like, you know, we keep saying about this family that keeps going through. If they had like a family pull shot or something, like there's the camera and they're all kind of standing around and like posing for the camera.
It's like a DVD season 5
That's
photo.
Right. And they kind of all like kind of look half normal, but like they don't at the same time.
Yeah.
Like it's just this weird hodgepodge of people, you know?
Or maybe like, you know what would also be a cool poster? What if it was like Burt Reynolds like filming a scene and we're looking through the lens of the camera and it's like a blur and like the blurs are like of Mark Wahlberg and Julianne Moore fucking.
That's not a bad one. Yeah.
Yeah. We can make better posters, Brenton.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Title Talk.
Title Talk, Boogie
like,
Nights.
Were there Boogie Nights in Boogie Nights?
There was some Boogie and Nights.
There were some nights where yes, they did boogie, technically. Yes.
Yeah, dude, there was that awesome like long shot of like that was just that static shot of like them literally discoing for like a minute.
Yeah, that's true. That's very, very true.
Yeah.
So wait, was that like the neon lights that said Boogie Nights? Is that actually in the universe of the film, or is that just like part of the title card? Like, is there an actual place called Boogie Nights?
Maybe that first. Oh, I don't know.
Who knows?
Maybe that first like nightclub is Boogie Nights.
There you go. Then for Title Talk, then I say they did their job. There was Boogie Nights in Boogie Nights.
True. It's a good title though.
Great. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I would have called anything else. I think it's a good
great title.
Because there were Boogie Nights. Like, yeah, I wouldn't call it like Don't Fuck With Porn, like, or
Don't fuck with porn.
the oxymoron. Yes.
A Nathan production. You don't fuck with porn.
Yeah, exactly. So Brenton, people, what are they saying?
What are they saying?
What are they saying?
Power to the people.
I'm gonna pass it to you, mate. I'm sick and tired of. I'm gonna pull a Mark Wahlberg where he runs to the pool and I'm like, I'm sick. I'm done. I want to film now, not 20 minutes.
Dude,
I'm gonna pass it to you now.
Mark Wahlberg is totally Morty from Rick and Morty.
Oh my god, he so is. Like, yeah.
Oh jeez, Rick.
Oh god.
Am I doing a good job?
Get in front of the camera, Morty. Just get in front of the camera. I don't have to take off my clothes. Just do it, Morty. Like. So what are they saying?
So let's Widget Walls from needcoffee.com has a score of 4 out of 5.
Okay, not bad.
This film is proof positive that there should be an Oscar for ensemble acting. Yeah, can't agree more, dude.
100%
I was going to say this ensemble is just
One of the best.
Yeah, there's some particular performances that maybe you could like highlight, but overall, everyone's just giving it their A game. I'll go back as well. I'll say that the tomato meter quickly.
Oh yeah.
So the critics have given it a 93% on the tomato meter.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty solid.
Pretty solid.
That's good. Audiences 89%. Yeah.
It's great. It's a good film.
There,
I think I'd tick those boxes. Yeah.
So now we go to the next audience member. No name here. We have a photo though.
Mm-hmm.
She's given it half a star.
Oh, why is that?
Because it's horrible and boring.
Is that all she said?
All it. Full stop.
I just think it's horrible and boring. Goodness. At least justify your opinion, unknown person.
Well, I guess it's a sentence. It's horrible and boring. Full stop.
I mean, I guess being an actor in the porn industry at this point would have probably been horrible, but definitely not boring. Like,
no.
I'm trying to think horrible and boring. Maybe the sex, maybe the kiss between Seymour Hoffman and Mark Wahlberg was horrible and boring. Maybe that's what she's referring to.
I don't know. I agree that this film is quite niche in the sense of like this. It ain't
for everyone.
This isn't a mainstream film, so like if there's things that like maybe you just. I can see people just not getting into this at all.
But I think most people would like it.
I agree, but like I think there'd be some people that would not get into it, and I don't know if you'd be bored by it. I could see people getting outraged by this film, for sure. Like being like, "Oh, why am I watching this?" You know, like you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I know his car's pretty outrageous.
Horrible, maybe, but boring. It's not boring. This movie,
not boring.
4 stars from Stefano C.
Stefano, what does he say?
Way better than most porn.
You know what? I think this is better than most porn. I must say. Like, I'm gonna.
Yes. Yeah. We'll back up your point.
We'll back up your point there. Good job.
But moving on to Vlad M, giving it a solid 3 stars.
Oh, good
saying
stuff.
For a movie about the porn industry, there's too many gun shootings and not enough porn. Vlad M, come on, buddy. Like
too much gun shootings and not enough porn.
Buddy, like what's going on?
Dude, if you want to watch porn, just watch porn.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hours upon hours at your disposal on the internet.
At least you gave it 3 stars. I'll give you that, Vlad M. But apart from that, But moving on to Jeff Weiss from Deseret News.
Deseret News, okay. Yeah, now, I'm so glad you're doing it because you're seeing how fucking weird some of these names are that I have to deal with. No offense to most people.
From Salt Lake City, apparently. Interesting.
Oh, Salt Lake City.
On top of
This is a Book of Mormon reference, if anyone cared. Like,
on top of some preposterous and near fatal plotting errors, Anderson makes the mistake of creating too many characters. Supporting stars Graham and Cheadle don't get enough to do, while William H. Macy is wasted for the sake of a punchline.
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that at all.
I disagree strongly. I don't think there's any character where I'm like, they were underutilized. I thought like every character had their moment. Like,
that's right.
It's almost like a Marvel movie where you just like everyone has their moment to shine and that kind of stuff.
For sure. Yeah. And sure, there's a protagonist in this film, but he's not necessarily what you call like a typical protagonist of like any.
He ain't a hero. He's flawed as hell. Like,
and exactly, but also like there are some characters that have, you know, are protagonists to their own kind of arcs and their subplots in this film, you know. Speaking of like Don Cheadle's character, you know, like or even William H. Macy's, even though like he's just cut short obviously, but you know, like I disagree. Yeah. I disagree completely. But moving on to Jason Bailey from Vice.
Oh, Vice.
The Tarantino comparison is ultimately less about technique than a shared joyful electricity of the filmmaking. The sense of an artist clearly high on the sheer act of making a movie. Yeah. I was going to say before... This
feels very passion project, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like, I was going to say before, like, you can tell that there was a lot of fun had on this set.
Yeah. And I'd love to see behind the scenes.
Yeah, you know, like... you can tell everyone's just brought their A game. They're passionate about it. They're having a good time, like, doing the work of this film. And you can... Again, the proof's in the pudding. There's a catchphrase for you, everyone.
He's done it again.
Moving on to Renee Skonfeld from Common Sense Media. Let's see if she has some common sense.
Not much in the name.
Unflinching look at porn industry. Lots of sex, drugs. Or score 4 out of 5.
There were lots of sex and drugs, so she ain't wrong there.
But
I think that's not an innovative
statement. That's not a
statement.
review. That's just saying what the movie was about, and then like saying 4 out of 5. But at least she gave it a 4 out of 5.
Good on her.
Like, good on you, Renee.
Thank you for having the same opinion as us.
Karina Montgomery from Cinerina. I want to write a long essay on this because it's a complicated film experience, but it's really great. The acting is great. The review, this one, is poorly written.
I feel like it's more about just deprecating
the score
themselves.
Is 5 out of 5, yeah.
Wow.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's hard to sum
Well, yeah,
this
because
up.
she said it's complicated, so of course you get what she's saying.
But I mean, like, it's hard to sum this up in a tweet, which is why, you know, how long are we into this episode? Nearly, probably like an hour and a half.
Something like that, yeah.
Like, you can...
It's felt like 10. Like
But yeah, it's hard to surmise this film and say like a tweet, you know. I'm sure Donald Trump could, but you know.
He's watching this in the office.
I hope so. Harvey S. Carton from... I'm not even bothered with that. Harvey says, already there are signs that Anderson could be our next Martin Scorsese.
I think Scorsese's better, but he's damn close.
I mean, Paul Thomas Anderson is Paul Thomas Anderson, I'd say. But yeah, he's very, very much influenced by Scorsese and other film directors, as we've discussed before. So yeah, sure, fair comment, I'd say. Yeah,
fair cool. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what the audience is. That's what they're saying, dude. The people. Power to the people.
Power to them. Good on them.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, it's Boogie Nights.
Boogie. Boogie Nights. Boogie. Boogie Nights.
It's Mark Wahlberg taking off his pants. He's gonna put it in Julianne Moore and do some shitty acting. Hee hee. Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights. Yeah, good time. Great film. Great film. Yeah, really.
Again, like we've had a shitty film in a while where we've put our. Oh, actually, no, you said thumbs down for Predator and all that kind of stuff. So
Soz.
I was about to say we had a great streak and then you had to fuck it up. Like,
this is way better than Predator.
So much better.
Yeah. Oh, we were saying before. I'll just quickly say. You were saying, oh, what do you think? What is this?
Oh yeah, how does this rank compared with his other films? Like,
I think it's top 2.
Crikey! Wow,
yeah,
I think behind that, This Will Be Blood.
I think there will be
blood.
I haven't given enough thought, to be honest, to really rank them all. But I'd say There Will Be Blood and Boogie Nights are like the top 2.
Yeah.
Master is obviously up there. I haven't seen Phantom Thread yet, though. I hear it's very good.
Yeah. It's one of those films you hear about we will never watch. So.
No, I really want to watch it. So, Inherent Vice is incoherent.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's still a good time. Like it's probably the worst of his films, though, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I need to watch Magnolia.
It's good. It's all over the shop, but it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you'll have to give There Will Be Blood a watch as well, and The Master, and catch up on PTA.
We shall reconvene at you and I will meet in the middle of a dark alleyway and trade reviews for our films.
But yeah, so this episode was dedicated to the memory of the great Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, we're gonna do a double. I don't know if we'll do this every time,
But this time, it just worked out this way that we're gonna do another film next week.
Yeah, we thought let's double bill it because Brett and I were both talking before the episode like, oh, we should do something to acknowledge his work, and we both had 2 films we couldn't decide between. So like, fuck it, let's just do both. We make the rules here.
That's right.
We call the shots. It's our names on the poster, damn
So
it.
the in memoriam of Burt Reynolds will continue next week.
Yeah, so keep an eye on Brenton's Twitter. He'll give a little hint as to what that film's going to be. I will give you a little hint. Ooh, you coy tease. Ooh. And I don't know if people are aware of that. Like, if you want to know what film we're going to do that next week, we normally decide a couple of days before. So, we record the episode. So, like, before, and then Brenton normally tweets out a coy hint.
It's usually a gif of sorts.
So, yeah, follow Brenton. I'm so bad with my Twitter. I got to get on top of it. But, like, follow Brenton at least, because at CMB Brenton, because, like, he's our social media dude.
It's a good time.
It's a great... Dude, you love the tweeting more than the actual podcast.
Oh my God. The tweeting of the hints is like the highlight of my week.
Yeah.
Which kind of says a lot.
I know, it really does say a lot about you, doesn't it?
But yeah, that was Boogie Nights.
Yeah. Looks like let's just boogie the night away, Brenton.
Boogie.